Hi there, my name is Dr. Demariofe, and I serve as the Chief Legacy Builder and founder of the Maximum Living Academy. Maximum Living Academy started in 2012. At the time, I was in Kharkov, Ukraine, studying medicine or about to graduate from medical school. And I remember very clearly that we had two cases or two incidences which led to us thinking about this program or this venture. The first was a young boy. He was about 18 years of age. He went to a club. Russians and Ukrainians made a concoction of different drinks. He volunteered. He's a Nigerian, by the way. He volunteered to be the one to taste the drink. He tasted the drink and obviously got intoxicated and high, and they decided to send him home so that he could sleep and hopefully wake up the next morning from his hangover. He never woke up. The second one was another boy who was in his third year of medical school, who had also visited a club. I don't know what club he visited, but visited a club, and they had also made this concoction of, drinks and maybe a little bit of drugs in there. He offered to be the lab rat. He tasted it, went back home, high. The next morning he woke up. They thought he would be better. He was still intoxicated. The third morning he picked up a knife, wanted to kill himself, so they took him to the psychiatric hospital. When he got there, he was admitted and had to stay there for another 3 weeks. After 3 weeks with minimal improvement, they had to send him back home. And so he lost his academics, he lost his access, the school expelled him so he could never come back. So basically he was blacklisted from the country. So after these two experiences, we realized that there must have been a problem, or there must be a problem. And we made up our minds that we're going to have one event, and that the function of that event would be to address young minds and basically discuss about how would you live if today was your last day on earth. Now, that event eventually held in September of 2012. It was well attended, and people asked for a second event. And so we had a second event. By the way, we're having the event in one of the best hotels in the city at the time. And students loved the fact that we're doing it in a hotel where they had dared to enter, or they were afraid to enter before now. And so they joined us for the second event. And then by November of that year, we had the third event, and December the fourth event. After the fourth event, we decided that it was necessary to register these meetings as an organization. And that was the birth of the Maximum Living Club. The Maximum Living Club took us from 2012 all the way up to 2017 in Ukraine. During that period, I learned so many things. One of the things that I realized beyond Ukraine, because I now had other events in Austria, in Hungary, in Nigeria, basically any country that I went to at the time, I would have an event in multiple cities in Ukraine. One of the things that I realized was when I had a conversation with a friend of mine. He was in the UK. He had finished from a university in Benin with a first class degree in computer science. He went to the UK. When he got to the UK on scholarship now, he found it difficult to adjust or adapt to the system over there. And the reason was because in Benin, he felt like he learned more of theory than practicals. When he got to the UK, it was more practical than theory. And so he struggled a bit. After his master's program, he worked for 3 years and then decided to go back to his school in Benin. When he got back to his school in Benin, he realized that the curriculum that was used to teach him 8 years prior was the same curriculum that was used to teach computer science. You see, the problem here is this. In the world of computer science, everything evolves in 4 years. At least as of last year, as 2021, everything was evolving after 4 years. That means that what you learned in your first year, by the time you're graduating, it is obsolete. It is useless to the world of computer science. It is a reason why IBM, Twitter, Facebook, Google, and quite a number of other top companies or top computer-based companies no longer require a regular 4-year degree in order for you to work with them, because the world is changing at the speed of sound. However, in most African institutions, we're not preparing our young minds for the future or the present. We're preparing them for the past. Now, this conversation I had with my friend was a rude awakening, because I now realized one of the things that was wrong with my people, or the Africans that had traveled to the diaspora, at least in Europe where I lived. A lot of us were trained by a system that was preparing us not for the present, but for the past. And that is a disaster. In fact, that is a ticking time bomb. It means that we may never be able to compete with our contemporaries anywhere in the world. I remember when I went to the United States, and I had a conversation with a 9-year-old. For the 9-year-old, her parents were quite well to do, so she was going to a very good high school, or a very good middle school, sorry. And there was a day during the holiday that this girl was going for an Irish folk dance. So I asked her, hey, why are you going for an Irish folk dance? Why are you doing that during your holiday? Why not go play, tennis or something? And she told me categorically, in fact, she just said it the way I'm going to say it. She said, well, maybe in the future, I would meet some Irish people. And maybe when I meet them, they will like me because I know their Irish folk dance. And who knows, I might be able to do business with them, or work with them, or play with them, or whatever. She's a 9-year-old. But the point here is, this young sapling was already being exposed to a world of intercultural relationships. She was already being exposed to a world where she understood the need for her to be able to understand other cultures in order for her to succeed in life. And I compared that with many of the young ones in my country. And I imagine if a 9-year-old in my country would think the same way, or reason the same way, or have the same type of thoughts. And it dawned on me that in order for Africa to stand on par with the rest of the world, there will be a need for us to equip the next generation with insights, foresight, hindsight, and everything in between that is necessary for them to create the future. And that was why we designed the Maximum Living Academy. The Maximum Living Academy is a 128-course curriculum. It consists of 7 schools: the School of Leadership, the School of Health and Well-being, the School of Finance, the School of Relationships, the School of Personal Development, the School of Academics and the Future of Work, and the School of Relationship. You see, these 7 schools contain everything that the young person needs. Now, how do we come about creating the 7 schools? Very simple. Over a 3.5-year span, I physically spoke to at least 3,000 young ones, majorly in secondary schools, a few of them in primary schools, and a handful of them in their A-levels. And of course, throughout the past 9 years, I spent time talking to people in the universities. And so we compiled all of the questions that these young ones ask. We also compiled some of the experiences that we have heard about from the different schools. Things that would literally make a parent scared. From the primary 3 child that was caught selling drugs in school, to the GSS 1 girl that was prostituting herself to SS2 boys. See, the stories that I've heard with my ears, you would not believe it. I'm telling you the truth. And so when we visited the schools, I felt like, going to the school, talking to students is good, but how sustainable is it? It was now much better for me to think of a wiser way to reach as many young ones as possible. And that was the second reason why we created the Maximum Living Academy. Because through this, they will be exposed to everything that they need to know about life, about today, about tomorrow. A very famous futurist who is the founder of the X Prize. Now, the X Prize is the most renowned competition for solutions that are technology-based that will help to solve the problems of the 21st century and the future. The most recent one is the one on carbon that was sponsored by Elon Musk, and basically was a solution to reduce carbon emission in the world. It was for $100 million United States dollars. That much. Now, the man who is behind the X Prize said this. He said that between 1900 and 2000, that's 100 years, there's a lot of change that happened between that period. But he also said that between 2000 and 2016, the exact same amount of change happened. That means in 16 years, we did what we did previously in 100 years. Then he said that between 2016 and 2022, we would have the equivalent of 100 years of change. In addition to that, he now said that between 2022 and 2026, we're likely to have another 100 years of change. You see, the world has moved on. The world has changed, and so it is time that Africans actually step up. It's time that Africans realize that the world is their oyster, and the world has been reduced to the size of a golf ball. And we do not want to wait for these politicians and senators and governors and whoever they are, leaders in the political class, to be the ones to lead the change. We must, you as a parent, you must be the one that leads the change, that carves out what your child's future will become. I've read so many articles, and if you go online, you will see thousands of them. 50% of jobs that would exist in the next 10 years are not in existence today. 15% of jobs that will exist next year do not even exist right now. Many of the jobs that your children would be engaged in, we do not even know as of today, 2022, at the time of this recording. That is the reason why we had to create and lay down principles that will help these young ones navigate their way through life. The last reason is this. A person that was born in 1900 went through difficult times. At about 19 years of age, they'd experienced the end of the First World War. They also experienced the Spanish flu. At about 35 years of age, they experienced the Second World War. So they were tough. And I found the quotes that said, tough people or tough times create tough people. Tough people create good times. Good times create weak men. Weak men create hard times. We're now at a point of history where I would say, or I would dare to say, we have a lot of weak people. Weak people because most of the things that they need have been provided for them. And it's almost certain that that cycle is going to continue. So weak people will create tough times. And tough times will create tough people who would then create good times. The question now is, on what side of history do you want your children to stand? Are you thinking about their future? Or are you thinking about the future with the lens of your past? Are you thinking about what the future of Africa can be? Are you helping to shape the next generation? The goal of this institution is to equip a generation to grow, to lead, and to succeed. And so that is our history. And this is where we have come to. Though we are online now, we will still metamorphosize into many other things. But for now, through the Maximum Living Academy, we believe that we'll be able to set Africa on the right course by equipping a generation one child at